All right, this is Dan Meehan for Fight News Australia, and today we have Brentin Mumford, who challenges the new Eternal lightweight champion Jack Becker on November 20th at Eternal 63. Brentin, how are you?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Good, good. Thanks for stopping by.
No worries.
Now, you're of course gearing up for your second fight of 2021, but before we get to that, your last appearance in the ring was back in March, a unanimous decision win over Dim Skillies, who's also it was in action recently. Are you a guy that remembers everything about your fights? And if so, can you sort of give us a bit of a reflection on that one?
Yeah, I usually remember most of it. It was pretty wild. Obviously, everyone who watched it would have seen how slippery it was. So definitely made things a bit crazy in there, slipping and sliding like that. And but changed the game plan a bit on the fly. But obviously, yeah, got the job done in the end. It was just a lot more grueling than what I would have liked it to have been.
Absolutely. And obviously going back to 2020, had a bit of a tough time with it through injury and, of course, the usual fight cancellations that come in the COVID era. How good was it to get back to work after what was a near 2-year layoff?
Well, that was unreal because I was good to fight for the 12 months before that. But obviously with all the COVID stuff and I just have all that, like I had got injured, had 2 back-to-back injuries, which they were all good to go. And then when COVID took over the world kind of thing, it shut everything down. And then it's kind of made this year tough as well for me because I obviously got that fight in March and then I was meant to fight Dan Hill in July. And then I think that, if I remember, I can't quite remember properly, but I think it was July, then it was August, then it was September. I think the fight ended up happening in October or something like that, or whenever it was. But I got taken off the card. I think it was about 6 weeks before the fight was meant to happen because the border closures and like Queensland got a hard border in again. And then the city I live in went into a 5-day lockdown, which turned into a 7-week lockdown. So everything shut down. We had no gyms. Obviously, I own a gym in the city I'm from, and it got shut down, and there was nowhere to train. Or I was pretty much locked in a house for 7 weeks, which obviously you can't do a fight camp. And because obviously I train away from home, I don't have a gym where I live, so it's impossible to even do what some people have done, a little bit of secret training here and there. I have no training partners or no one where I'm from, so. Last year, this made this year a bit hard too, so I didn't get as many fights in as I would like. But obviously, just now this one's just around the corner and everything's ran smoothly, so can't complain about it now.
Absolutely. And one of the injuries, I think I read that it was a torn pec. Now, I think they can be pretty gnarly recovery for a fighter in particular. Is that one a thing of the past now, or got any lingering effects?
Yeah, that one. It's no drama now. It's 100% healed now. At the time, obviously, that was I wasn't sure how that was going to heal, obviously, because I had, a lot of people saying that you might not come back from it properly and you might not be able to fight again and whatnot. But had the surgery done and just did my rehab stuff properly and got some PRP done on it and whatnot. And I ended up getting back, I think I was back about 4 months earlier than they expected. So I was already, by the time I was, it was good enough to go, I went down, and that was when I was down training with Alex Volkov for his second fight with Max Holloway. So I was healed enough to go down and help him. And then obviously thought I would be preparing for fights from that being down to Wollongong with him. I thought I'd be preparing for fights for the rest of that year, and that didn't end up happening.
Yeah, so when of course, as you mentioned, you've been in camp with Alexander Volkanovski, over the years. What's it like training with that team, and what do you sort of take away from moving around with someone like him?
It's unreal. It's good. You see his work ethic, his attitude towards fighting, his attitude towards competing in general, training. You can see why he is the champ and why he's stayed the champ. He doesn't he just has laser focus. Just every day in the gym, like he goes by the saying he's the hardest worker in the room. And, I can attest for that by witnessing it firsthand over. I've known Alex for a long time, so I've trained with him many times in whether it be in Thailand or New Zealand or down in Wollongong. He comes up to mine sometimes, and he's always like that. He's just the hardest worker in the room everywhere he goes, every day. Doesn't let he's a guy that you would never know if there was such thing as a bad day. He doesn't have a bad day.
Yeah, it's unreal. Okay, so last time we were scheduled to catch up, you were preparing to face the then lightweight champion Dan Hill, and of course it got sort of scuppered by the snap COVID lockdown that you referred to earlier. So yeah, after that sort of the extended training camp, again, you sort of mentioned that earlier. How sort of disappointing was it to not have a fight at the end of it and sort of lose out on that opportunity?
Oh, it was pretty shit. Like, it was a long camp because it got. So April, started camp in April for the July fight. So yeah, April, May, June, yeah, July, maybe like start of May I started it maybe. And then when it got pushed back, I worked it out. It ended up being roughly, I think it was about 19-week fight camp. It ended up working out to be, had a few deload weeks here and there to try and get it sorted. The hardest part was the second last time it got pushed back was the hardest, because I think it might have been like the week before or something. So obviously I was already started losing weight and winding things down, and then for it to get pushed, I think it got pushed back like 4 weeks. So you're pretty much restarting again. That was the hardest part, because I'd already started to lose weight, and obviously anyone that's watched me fight as lightweights, I'm at a weird size. I'm like too small for welterweight and at the bigger end of lightweight. So for me to make the weight, I've got to do there's a bit of work involved in the last 2 weeks, and to have them just go, oh, we're just going to push that fight back 4 weeks. It's tough on the body, tough on the mind kind of thing. So it was, that was a hard part, but obviously the worst part when they just said, oh, look, they didn't really take me off the card. It was just, we didn't know if we had to replace me or run the risk of Dan still training for a fight and me still trying to train for a fight, which potentially couldn't happen. It could have, it wouldn't have happened. In the end, if they didn't make the decision to replace me with Jack, it would have been shit for Dan, shit for the promotion, because they would have had no title fight. Like, there would have been, or it would have been a really, really late notice one, which is, that's shit for Dan being the champion too, for having to prepare for one person and then 2 weeks out get a whole new opponent. It's not fair on him as the then champion. So I think that was hard, because it had been such a long camp, and obviously, like I said, I don't train at home, so I'm away from home, lots away from work, from my gym and family, friends, whatnot. Which was, yeah. So you put everything on hold, and then for it not to happen, there's no reward at the end of it all, which is obviously what you want. So yeah, that was pretty shit.
Yeah, absolutely. And it ended up being a pretty ordinary night for Dan Hill in the end anyway, as Jack Becker stepped in in your absence and beat him by first round TKO. So what, if anything, do you take away from that fight?
I was surprised. To be honest, I was just surprised that they both just stood in front of each other and traded the way they did. To be honest, I didn't expect that. I don't think anyone expected that. It was pretty cool to watch, but it was short-lived. It was good. It was a good fight. Like, Jack's a good fighter. He's been around for a long time. Dan's a good fighter. They're both good fighters. That's what you do. You want to challenge yourself against good guys, and so either one. Like, I'm obviously happy to fight. Was happy to fight either of them, really. No one wants hammy, padded fights and shit like that. Well, some people do. I don't. There's a few people out there that do. I reckon it was a good fight. Like, it was good to watch, and what happened. Bit of a weird ending, but he was already out, I reckon. So it was probably pretty close to being illegal, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. So did you feel that the knee was down, or how did you sort of view that one?
He was definitely down, but he was out already. So I don't know. I think it was just, when you're in there, it's the heat of the moment, you're just going to keep throwing what you need to get the job done. But he was from watching it back, he was definitely grounded, but he was only grounded because he already got knocked out. Like he dropped fast. His knees weren't under him anymore. So, his knees and feet were no longer under him anymore. He collapsed to the floor. So I think the knee was neither here nor there, really. Like the knee probably wasn't even needed, but it was thrown in the heat of the battle, and it is what it is. And no, you can't take. You'd never be able to take it away from him that he won the fight, because he knocked him out and just threw the knee after. So it was a good knockout.
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus, really, isn't it? That the sort of the ending sequence was already underway when that happened. So
yeah, I think he might have grabbed his head a little bit there and threw it. So I don't know. It was a good knee. It was a good knee, but he definitely had him beat already, anyways. But
yeah, look that way. So I guess for yourself now, you've obviously got the matchup against Jack for the title. So how do you feel you guys match up?
Yeah, it's a good matchup. Like I was saying before, there's no easy. You don't want easy fights, anyways. But where he's at, and where I'm at, and where any of the guys that are going to compete against each other, that we're all going to have our strengths and weaknesses, and that's what you want to exploit. That's the only way to win, really, is to exploit those weaknesses, because we're obviously where we're at. We've been around for a long time. We're at the top of the heap for Australia and New Zealand MMA. Obviously, we're all the top guys that aren't signed to a bigger promotion. So there's not going to be any easy fights. So it's just a matter of on the night who comes in with the game plan and who can execute the game plan better than the other person.
Yeah, and as I'm sure you're aware, this is your third crack at the Eternal title. So what would it mean to sort of finally get your hands on the belt?
Yeah, no, it would be awesome. To be honest, for me, it's I don't know, the belts are like, no, this doesn't. It looks cool when you're old. When you're old, you can hang it up and say you got one. I got one at home now that collects dust. But it's for me, it's whether. Like, the main part is that it's 5 rounds, not 3. So it fucking changes training camp. Training camp's a lot harder. You got to bust your ass more because you got 10 more minutes of fighting you potentially got to do. But as for the belt, it'd be awesome to have it. But even if I was, I'd fight him for no belt for the challenge. The belt's just a cool little, cherry on top. But as for, I like for the competition. The belts, they say you want to fight for the belt, and I was like, sure. If they said you want to fight, I would say sure as well. So it's no different to me.
Yep, and you've fought a who's who of Australian MMA really at this point. So assuming you're successful on November 20th, is there sort of anyone that would be on your hit list that you've yet to face?
I guess Dan Hill probably deserves to. We prepared for each other for so long. We should probably run that. But, to be honest, I'm 34. I've had my fair share of injuries. I've fought a heap of good guys. Unless I was to crack something bigger, like a bigger promotion, I potentially might just hang them up after this. Like, the passion is still there to compete, but there's obviously, I put 10 years into the sport, or 10 years competing. So obviously, I think I've done it for about 12 all up. 11 or 12 all up. So I put a lot of time into the sport. Before this, I played hockey. I lived in Canada, played ice hockey. I lived in Canada and that. So I've competed for my whole life, essentially. So I probably should look at, the next chapter. If nothing comes along, I win the fight, and nothing comes along from it. I don't know if there's any. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, my main focus is winning, and then whatever happens after that, then I'll just have to decide when it happens. But like I said, I'm not young anymore. It doesn't take, it takes a bit longer to recover from a session now than it used to. So just have to weigh out my options, and obviously it's you're not fighting for much money either. So everyone always says you shouldn't. Money is not the driving factor, which obviously it's not. But at some point, you've got to make money to survive. You've got people to provide for. I've got kids. You can't be living on a few $1,000s every 4 months. To do it, you got to put some other stuff in front first. So we'll see. we'll see. Obviously, I'm not 100%. I haven't 100% made the decision. Just focusing on fighting on November 20. Just get that going there, do the best I can. Hopefully, come out with my hand raised, and then just weigh up the options afterwards.
Yep. So obviously you've got the R word on your mind there, but so what would actually sort of inspire you to keep going after the fights? Like, what would be the sort of, I guess, what's the ultimate goal in MMA if you were to keep on going?
I would like to, as I said, I would like to fight on a big promotion. Like Eternal's has been good to me, but like I said before, a couple of $1,000, doesn't pay the bills. You know what I mean? Like you gotta, it'd be good to be able to do. Like obviously, I've gained a lot out of I've got a business which I gained through fighting. I've got all my work outside of fighting is all I've gained from fighting. So I've gained a lot from it in the last 10 years. But obviously I would like to, if I could get onto a bigger promotion and obviously I still love competing. I still love the sport. I'm still passionate about it, but to be able to throw, another zero on the back of it, definitely make it more feasible to keep competing. But that's it. Yeah, as I said, it's just a matter of, there's nothing to do with being lost drive and focus and passion at all. Not one bit. I still love it every day. I love competing. I love training. It's just I got to weigh my options at 34. I turn 35 next year. Is this other, at some point, the selfishness of fighting has to take a back seat, I guess, and look at what's next. And as I said, after that, we'll see what happens in November, like at the end of the month, and I'll just I'll just go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what would life look like post fighting for you? It sounds like you've got got some building blocks in place there for life after fighting.
Yeah, well, obviously I love coaching as well, which is, what I do at Combat Training Center. I help out with coaching there. I own a gym in my city, a 24-hour gym in my city, a PT. I'd love to obviously just focus more on helping the other guys achieve what they want to achieve in the sport. Help them with, obviously I've done it for years, train with some of the best guys, seen how they do it, seen how some of the best gyms do it. I have a good blueprint of how I would run things if I had my own martial arts gym, or if at Combat, how I could help them with their program there, help the guys that are there, the young talent that comes through there. They've got all the talent in the world and they've got a lot of time on their hands, which I don't, time I don't have, to help them make more positive decisions with their career. At times I made poor decisions just out of being a meathead, just wanted to fight, late notice fights, fighting back to back, fighting through injuries in general. Like a lot of the injuries which cost me time out of the cage are probably injuries that could have not happened had I listened to the people around me, or had I listened to my body and gone, you know what, take a rest day. You can have a full day off. It's not gonna kill you. You know what I mean? So I'd like to be able to be in a position where I can help the younger guys make decisions like that and learn from my mistakes, and then the things I did right to do them better.
Brilliant. All right. Before I let you go, do you have any sponsors or anyone you'd like to shout out? I'll hand the reins over to you. I
do have sponsors. I have to look at something so I can see them, so I don't fuck it up. Otherwise, I'll hold on. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't have anything to look at.
You haven't got anything written down?
No, I don't have it written down, but I can try and name. I've got obviously TikTok Nutrition. Matt's supported me for a long time now. He looks after all my food. Like that's been like a 4-year commitment now. Whether I was fighting or not fighting, I get meals delivered every week, in camp, out of camp. Eco Electrics, Dees McDonald. He's same thing. He's been there from the get-go, from my first professional fight. He sponsored me to now. So that's a long time. So I've got CMBT. We've got Nutty Bay, Dr. Wojciech Bilski, Who else have I got? Tallow Beach Houses in Byron Bay. Who have I mentioned? I know if I could, someone messaged me. I got Elite Garden CBD in California. They got wicked CBD products. I'll left someone out for sure. I'll get a message for sure saying that I've ruined this. RVCA. Shit. I don't know. I'm going to apologise now for anyone that I missed. I don't mean to, but obviously I'm in camp, tired, just struggling. So. But if I missed you, I'm sorry. I appreciate the support. Obviously, you'll know that I tell them that. I tell them that personally, so they'll know.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a solid list anyway, and there'll be a link, a handle below for Brentin's socials. So I'm sure there'll be postings on there for all the sponsors as well. So,
but I'll just hit them all at once. So that with my sponsors, all of them that have supported me, they've all supported me for a fairly long time too. So, and it's good. A lot of them understand the sacrifices that come with fighting. So, you know, a lot of people just want to give you a free shirt or a free this. A lot of my sponsors are unreal. They've financially supported me, knowing that I can't work as much. You know what I mean? So they know I appreciate it, and they know who they are. You know, I thank them personally all the time. So just on here, I want to thank them as well. But if I missed you, I'm sorry.
Perfect. Well, Brentin, thank you so much for stopping by, and all the best at Eternal 63.
Right. Cheers, mate.